if I could go back to when I first started selling on Etsy, I wish that I had known more about inventory control, customer service, and pricing for profit. In this video, I'm going to be talking about inventory control, and I have upcoming videos about customer service and pricing for a profit. Please join me. Hi, I'm Carol here at Timeless Style Vintage. I have an Etsy shop called V Vintage Collectibles that I've had for nearly 3 years now. I feel like I'm only just now getting control over my inventory. I just spent the last weekend splitting up my inventory so that I can take part of it to Florida when we go to Florida for the winter in October, and I'm going to leave part of it here. For the last 2 or 3 years, we've been carrying all the inventory back and forth. When I first started selling on Etsy, I purchased things that were very affordable from thrift shops, mostly small figurines, small glass pieces, and though those things sold, I didn't make much money on them. And soon, within a year or so, my inventory was out of control because I purchased everything that I thought was a bargain. And that was probably not the best way to go about it. Now I know that the inventory that I buy to replace sold inventory in my shop is going to fall into the categories that I know sell best in my shop. And those are wedding and anniversary items, butter dishes, small glass pieces, silver plate items, and crystal stemware. I sell a lot of sets of 2 of crystal stemware. Those are very easy for me to source in Florida. They're very difficult for me to source here in Michigan. So I'm going to leave quite a few of my sets of stemware here in Michigan because I know when I get to Florida, I'll be able to replenish that inventory very quickly. Now, a category of inventory that I've been saving up for a couple of years is bicentennial items to help in celebrating America's 250th anniversary birthday next year. I have been stocking up on these and not listing them. I've started listing the ones that I have here in Michigan, and I will be taking those to Florida with me, and I have a number of items in Florida that I'll be listing as soon as I get there. That's a category that is going to have a very limited time span, so I'm hoping to get it all up now so that it will be ready for people to start buying for next year's celebration. Now, I want to share here with you on the screen some of these categories of merchandise that I've sold in my Etsy shop and how much I sold it for. So we'll take a look at a couple of wedding items, mostly cake toppers. For anniversaries, I find that celebration type imprinted plates sell very well. Teapots, cups, bud vases, and anything that's imprinted with the year, like 50th anniversary. I only found out recently that 55th anniversary is emerald because I found 2 emerald happy anniversary plates and 55th anniversary, and they sold very quickly. Another category that sells well for me is silver plate. My husband decided that he really enjoys cleaning silver plate, so I have picked up just about everything that I've found that is capable of being cleaned. And if you would like to be able to differentiate between what kind of silver plate can be cleaned up and polished and what kind you should probably leave behind, please watch my video on silver plate. It was my very first video. It is very informative. It talks about the electroplating process and how to tell if a tarnished item will clean up nicely or not. So check out that video. As I mentioned, also crystal stemware. And I find that when I sell those in sets of 2, I usually sell them for between $28 and $38 a set. And people buy them for gifts a lot. Also, people buy them for toasting at their wedding. Another category that sells very well for me is butter dishes. When I first started selling on Etsy, it was pretty easy for me to get my hands on Pyrex butter dishes, especially that gold and the avocado green ones. that sell very, very well. I could get my hands on those for $20 or less, and I generally sold them for $50, but I haven't seen one of those in a long time. Nonetheless, butter dishes do sell very well, the covered ones. I sell them in glass, in ceramic, and in silver plate. Always a good seller for me, so I pick those up whenever I see them. Another category of items that sell very well in my shop is brass candlesticks. And especially if I can find Baldwin, which is a very good brand, candlesticks, those candlestick holders, I guess, not candlesticks, but the candlestick holders sell very well. And there's always a really good markup on those as well. Now, I don't try to pick up all the little brass candlesticks that you can find in thrift shops for, $3 to $5. They are usually very shiny brass, usually have a lot of scratches on them, and they don't sell quite as well. I generally find my good brass candlesticks in antique stores, and I pay anywhere from $10 to $25 for a set, and then I can sell them for $50 to $75 usually. There's a really good markup on those. When I bring an item home, first thing I will do is clean it and take the price tag off of it, and then I will do what I call process it, and that is listed in our inventory sheet. Our inventory sheets are set up so that next to each SKU number, and I assign each item a SKU number. The very first item that I would have processed through in 2025 would have been 2025-1. 2025-2. Now I'm up to 2025 in the 380s because I've listed a lot of items this year and I've sold a lot of items this year. The next column on my inventory sheet I don't usually fill in until after I've listed the item, and that is the bin number where I store it. Each item gets wrapped and put into a bin so that it doesn't get dirty or tarnished between the time I've cleaned it up to list it and the time that the customer purchases it. The next column is a drop-down column where I have several different categories to choose from, and they're basically my best-selling categories. I can insert a list here for you to see what categories I have to choose from. They roughly line up with the categories that Etsy gives me, but they're just a little bit more specific to my shop. Next, I will tell what the item is, and I have a column for the manufacturer, if I know what the manufacturer is. If I don't know a manufacturer, but I know the country of origin, I'll put that in there. Next, I put the date that I purchased it, where I purchased it from, and how much I paid for it. So I do keep track of that. And then when I list the item, I put how much I listed it for, and then there are future columns for me to fill in that show what date it sold, how much I sold it for, and my husband has the Etsy fee equation worked into these columns, so the Etsy fee automatically pops in. I have a column where I record the shipping, and then I do keep track of just the customer's name and the city that they live in. So I will just mention here, as we're talking about shipping, that I do calculated shipping. Each of my items weighs something different, and I often have customers who live on the other side of the country who buy items from me. And so it's not fair for me to charge a large amount of shipping if I'm only going to ship it to someone that's within my same postal zone. And it's not fair to me if I charge a small amount of shipping and I have to ship it 2 or 3 postal zones away. So even though I started my shop with free shipping, I now use calculated shipping, and that works out very well for everybody involved. And if it does happen that I have an excess of shipping charge for a certain customer, then I just refund that to the customer, and they're very happy about that. I record on my Excel sheet which bin I've stored it in, and I also put a list on the top of the bin of all the items, their SKU numbers, that are stored within that bin. If there's more than one piece of a particular item, like a teapot and a couple of cups, I will wrap each one of those separately, and then I will just put 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, and indicate on the top of the bin that there are 3 pieces to that particular item. So then that particular item just sits in that bin until it's purchased, and then it is processed and shipped out. I usually like to ship out the same day or the next day. If it's a Friday night or a Saturday, it doesn't usually go out until Monday, but I ship out items as quickly as I can. Now, what happens if I have an item that's too big to fit in one of my bins? And my bins are probably 6 inches deep. So if there's anything too big, I do have some bigger bins. I call them large item bins that I can put 2 or 3 large items in. All of my large item bins, I'm living in Michigan this year, and I do have some shelf space where I can sit large items on a shelf. But especially in Florida, because our shop area is small and it's basically in one of our living areas, I try to keep everything put away as much as possible, and it's just more organized. I'm just a person who has to have everything organized, so I like to be able to know exactly where something is. Maybe some of these ideas have sparked some ideas for you. I would love to see your comments about how you do inventory, questions that you might have about inventory. I'd love to interact with you down in the comments. If you liked the video and subscribe to it, that would be wonderful. Like I probably mentioned earlier, this is a very small channel. I've just started it, and so it just every comment and every like and every subscriber is just so important to me. In the next video in this series, we are going to talk about customer service and dealing with customers. I have been very blessed that I have not had a lot of customers who have caused me grief. There have been a few. Mostly though, customers have just been delighted with their items and so happy to get their items from my Etsy shop. Thank you for watching today.